Beide vreten.
Well, you can all remember, before the break we talked about fundamental analysis, and the aim was to really show you that fundamental analysis is about looking at the economic drivers the company has. You look at the income, you look at the earnings of the company, you look at the cost of the company, you look at the product the company itself sells, you look at its competitors, the market share it has, you look at regulations, and this was one part of the stock evaluation techniques. Now in the second part of this strategy, we're going to look at the different, another one is technical analysis, and if you recall, I said that Malcolm in his books says that investing is a gamble whose success depends on your ability to predict the future, and one way to predict the future was fundamental analysis, and now we're going to look at technical analysis, which basically is the other side of the coin. It is a lot more abstract. It is a completely different approach to investing. And one of the first to point that out was John Maynard Keynes. This economist, you should know him, he's one of the most famous economists in the world and also a very successful investor. And he said that you should not waste time calculating intrinsic value. All the fundamentals you've done is all nonsense. You don't need to do that. He said it makes much more sense to look at what the crowd does. So he bases his theory on psychological values. He says that it's much better to look at how the crowd, in periods of optimism, is going to build some castle in the air. And why do I say castle in the air? It's because there is no anchor, like intrinsic value with fundamental analysis, that holds the company together. It's just some optimistic people who think the stock is going to go up and basically buy the stock. And the best way to, the best example he had was that imagine you guys are all in a beauty contest. We have a beauty contest right now. You can imagine we have 10 girls walking in, and you could all together choose who the prettiest is. Only for them. And then I'm going to approach one of you, and I'm going to tell you, let's make a bet. Let's bet that I will bet with you that you have to choose who the prettiest girl is. And you're going to say, okay, this girl here, she's blonde, she's tall, I like her, look how beautiful she is. She has to win. But what I'm going to tell you is probably you're going to lose this bet. And the reason is that you choose who you found most pretty and not who the audience as a whole found most pretty. Because you have preferences, but they may differ substantially from the preferences of the whole audience. So what John Maynard Keynes said is that you should look at what the crowd is going to do, and you should anticipate, or at least see it at a very soon point, and get on this kind of train of optimism. There is a very good quote in the book always, it's time to valid continuity hypothesis, which is the smart way for saying a thing is only worth what someone else is willing to pay for it. What he means is that it doesn't matter where your intrinsic value is and where your actual value is. But it is completely fine to buy a stock at 10, even if you think it's worth only 5, if you know that someone else is going to pay 20 for it. We have a lot of tools in technical analysis, a lot of different indicators, some analysis of patterns of the price. But today we're going to talk mainly about two, some chart analysis and indicator analysis. And to understand these a bit better, let's think about what is going on in the market. On the market we have the buy side and we have the sell side. The buy side are optimistic people, basically people who think the stock is going to go up. On the other hand, we have the sell side. And these are people who think the stock is going to go down. And what these people do is they're going to produce some trends in a stock price. And trends can be upward sloping, downward sloping, or sideways. And what an upward trend is nothing else than higher highs and higher lows. And if you connect the lows with the line, you can declining in this point. And that's why we have different time frames of the stock. Usually we say the longer the time frame, the stronger the trend. And it is very easy to represent this in the sense if you just look at this chart, it is pretty much clear that we have downward trend. Well, if you look at the chart as a whole, we have an upward trend. The downward trend is pretty much similar, just the other way around. So you have lower lows and lower highs. The stock is simply declining. And what was going on in the market here is that we had the buy side, for example, in the downward trend, we have the sell side, which is much, much stronger than the buy side. Sometimes within the market, the buying side stays over, so the stock increases. However, on average, we have a downward trend, so the sell side is said to be stronger. Now let's look at chart patterns. And chart patterns rely on the assumption of technical analysis, which is history tends to repeat itself. Basically, what some smart chartists did is they analyzed movements of the stock, and they found out that if the stock moved in a certain way, after that, the stock is supposed to decline or increase or decrease. It depends on the pattern itself. And we have different kinds of patterns. We have continuation pattern and reversal pattern. Continuation pattern show that the trend is going to continue. So, for example, we could find somewhere over here a pattern, and basically the trend is going up, and after that pattern, the trend is going to continue. What reversal patterns are, you can probably guess it, they are the end of the trend, and they show that the trend is going to go in an opposite direction. So if the stock is going down, it will increase afterwards, and if the stock is going up, it's going to decrease. Pretty simple. So let's now look at one of the most famous reversal patterns out there, and it's called the head and shoulders pattern. The reason why it's called head and shoulders pattern is that the first peak here is supposed to look like a shoulder, the second higher like an head, and this one is a shoulder, and you can connect here with your neckline. Let's see what's going on in the market. We see that we have a stock that is going up, a even longer period. And at this point, the stock decreases. Why? Well, we have the sell side taking over, so more people think the stock is going to decrease than increase, and the stock is going down, still here, approximately to the neckline. Then the stock goes up again because the buyers say, no, we want the stock to go up, and they actually make it happen. At this point, however, the sell side takes over again, and here the third smaller peak is another attempt by the buy side to bring the stock up. However, they fail, then the stock is going to decrease substantially. The point we're interested in here is this one over here. The point where the stock price is going to break through the neckline. Because only at this point the pattern is said to be complete. Why I say that this is important is that before the pattern is completed, we cannot draw any conclusion. So there is no point in trying to anticipate the pattern because you cannot draw any conclusion for it. Now I think that exactly this point over here, the stock is going to increase again. However, it turned out that in many cases, at this point, the stock decreases. And to get you a feeling of how much it should decrease, chartists also found out that if you take approximately the length of the head to the neckline, and you project this one down here, this could be your target price. So if we take this length over here and project it down here, we have our target price. This is one of hundreds of patterns that's out there, and it's not perfect. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not work, and everyone has to find out which patterns he likes and which patterns he actually believes in. Let's now look at another thing that is important with this pattern, and that's volume. Volume simply shows you how many stocks were traded during the day or during any period of time you want. So if we take, for example, as you know, the market price is simply the result of supply and demand on the market. If the volume is very high, it means that a lot of transactions are taking place during the day. And this implies that the price which is given at that day is probably reflecting very well the actual force of supply and demand. On the other hand, if you have very, very low volume, it could be that this price is actually not the real price of supply and demand. It could be that we have some big hedge funds, a big mutual fund that was simply selling a lot of stocks. So the price went a little bit down and it went down further than it should be. On the other hand, it could be that some hedge fund just bought a lot of these stocks, so the price went a bit up. And that's why the first peak we see a lot of, not a lot of volume, but substantially more volume because the stock declines. Again, here we see with less volume, and here we see very little volume because this price is very weak. So it's a price that is probably not going to be there for a long period of time. And what we see in this case is that the stock declines. Are there any questions about this? Yes? Technical analysis is a much shorter time frame as fundamental analysis, but you can use this on a daily basis. So it means our day trader will use these patterns with a chart, with a 5-minute chart, and they try to find these patterns. Buy a stock at 11, sell it at 11:30, or buy it in the morning, sell it in the evening. But there are also other traders who use it on a much longer time. So there are people who buy it today, sell it tomorrow, there are people who buy today, sell it in 2 months. But usually, technical analysis is rather a short-term or mid-term analysis. That's why also a reason why this can be useful in our investment competition, but in general you don't look for these patterns over years. Yes?
Yes, I was wondering what's driving this phenomenon.
Yeah.
If you say that of course it doesn't work for 100% of the time, but if it changes your odds in 49, 51%, the long term, if you repeat it, would be completely but why hasn't it cancelled itself out? Because it's that much yours. With an algorithm that the first one makes use of this pattern, and then like seconds you should cancel it out and make it not happen anymore because then you first one plane. Does it still occur very often?
Well, the thing is, people talk about technical analysis that rather than being an analysis or science, it is an art. The reason is that I drew a very nice picture over here, but the picture you will see on your stock is probably much different. If you take, for example, this one, this is already a head and shoulders pattern, as you will probably never see or very rarely see, because you see very nicely how one shoulder is going up a second at the head and the other shoulder. But maybe in real life, you're going to see it a bit to the side, a bit in another way. So it is really about you trying to analyze, okay, is this actually a head and shoulders pattern? Because maybe if it's on an upward sloping trend, it could be a completely different pattern. I said there are hundreds of patterns out there, and some of them would not exclude the other pattern. So it is really about, it is an art, and it is about you being able to interpret the chart in the right way. And more than applying a simple concept, it's about you trying to figure out whether this is this pattern or another pattern. Does this answer your question? Well, then after I show you this one, I'll give a minute to Corinne, and he's going to introduce you to indicators.
Any more questions? No? Okay. Let's go to the second way of using technical analysis. And the second from many, of course, but we just keep it to 2 today. And that's called an indicator analysis. And while looking at charts and trying to see patterns, might seem a bit vague, artsy, it's an art, as my colleague said. Indicator analysis averages, you have lots of them. You can if you look at a technical analysis indicator book, then you can fill pages and pages of indicators. And usually, many technical analysts use about 5 indicators to perform the technical analysis. Some less, some more. But it would of course make no sense to look at 1,000 indicators at the same time. Approximately 5. But today we're going to look at a very particular indicator, which is called the relative strength index. It shows actually, this shows actually what the relative strength is of your stock. So actually, who of the sides is winning, whether the buy side is winning or whether the sell side is winning. How strong is actually the stock going up or going down? And what you can see actually sometimes is that the buy side is winning, but it's sort of overhyping. Like everybody is buying the stock of Apple. Isn't it sort of a bubble? Isn't this a hype? Or if everybody's in panic, everybody's like, well, we should sell everything. Maybe the stock price is lower than it should be. That's what the relative strength index tells you. For the econometricians here, I know there are some. You can calculate it like this, where RS, or the relative strength, is the amount of days that the stock price was up, and the other one is the value of the stock price down. But you're not econometricians, most of you are not. So luckily, you don't have to calculate this yourself. Like almost all the financial websites do that for you, so that's not the formulas. Let's look at the chart. The stuff below, that's the relative strength index. It's the 14-day relative strength index. You can forget that anyway, but this is the most commonly used. And this actually has 2 lines, 2 important lines. This bar, yeah, you have the 70 line and you have the 30 line. And the 70 line, that means that your stock is probably overbought. And too many people have bought stock, and it's a sort of a small hype, that is going down afterwards. And a RSI below 30 means oversold. Too many people have sold stock, and then it's usually going up in the short run. My concept is clear? Cool. And actually, you can see that this graph. It's the graph of McDonald's. And for example, this point here in sort of after June, you can see, well, the RSI was below 30, bam, below 30, and you can actually see that the stock price was very low, and afterwards, the signal was correct. So it was oversold, and the stock went up. And here you see that the RSI was above 70. So the stock was overbought, and you can see that also in the share, so your signal said, well, I should sell my stock. Well, that was actually a good idea. The stock went down afterwards. This is actually a particularly interesting graph because it also shows that sometimes your signals are not correct. It's not a science, it's a bit of an art. So you can see, for example, here also the RSI hits 70 and actually went above. So he said, well, let's sell my stock here. But hey, stock price went up. And you can see it here as well. Also a signal, but stock price went up as well. So it doesn't always work. That's why you use multiple indicators to maximize the chance of this stuff working. But in general, this works more often than not, and that's why people use the RSI. You can find them in most of the investment websites, pre-calculated, and you get to see some nice graphs and try to get some indication. Is this concept clear?
It's just 6-month time frame the best one for this.
That's a very good question. No, you can actually use any time frame you like. We just choose this one basically at random. Which usually happens that it takes some longer period of time before it actually goes off 70 or below 30. So you got a drink, mate? All right. So it usually takes some time before it needs to break off 70 or below. So you can also use it for the yearly frame, but usually the daily frame is a bit too. Answer your question?
Yeah.
More questions? No? All right. As I said, there are lots of different indicators. This is one of them. There may be 1,000 of them. And try to not use one indicator, only one indicator at a time. Try to base your analysis on multiple indicators. thrown lots of different concepts and different words against you, so I think your head is maybe a bit, well, that's quite a lot. But let's just look at the basics again. Fundamental analysis is looking at your company. Looking at what's my company doing, what's my stock tower doing. You look at what assets they have, you look at what comparative advantages they have, and you look at what their annual report says. And there were three ways, as we told you. You have qualitative analysis, which is a SWOT analysis, or looking really at what's the company doing, what advantages does it have. You have the analysis based on comparables, which is just calculating some number to compare your company to other companies in the same sector. And you have a third one, you have the discounted cash flow, and that's basically to say, well, what's my company going to make for me in the future? What cash does the company get after costs in the future? And what's that cash in the future worth right now? So those three ways we've looked at. And then with technical analysis, and they say, well, all this fundamental analysis is just bullshit. Like, let's ditch all that sort of company. I don't really care about what company it is. Let's just look at the price and just look at the numbers. And there were two ways to use technical analysis. We had the chart patterns, like the head and shoulders, like my colleagues Alex told. And we have the indicator analysis, like the RSI, which is, I think we've actually plotted it here. There's multiple more indicators, as you can see over here. Lots of different trends and lines and that sort of stuff. So that's the basic distinction between these two. You can combine them. Some investment groups choose to combine them. And that sometimes gives better results, sometimes not. Right. Let's actually see whether you have, you know your stuff, or you actually learned something today. We have a quiz again. Yeah.
Karoot, met die weet. Maar dat uitsleden. Dat is perfect het verkeerde moment. Helaas.
Alright. You guys can go to Kahoot.it. It's not an Italian website, but apparently it looks nice.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Winner, nice.
Choose very great name.
Je moeder. Yes. Fake Nation, nice. Waarom mee? Waarom mee? Waarom mee? He's alive. He's live. Hype. Leuke naam. Nou is hij dom. Nou. Zag je? Oh. 90 op de helft. Niks uit. Vooral wel een beetje.
Let's start with a practice question. Because we all like practice questions. Where are you already or so?
Moeilijk.
You don't get points for this because you can't answer. Is de Librije in Zwitser apart van in New York?
Ja, niet best.
And something to note, not with this practice question because it doesn't matter. With regular questions, it doesn't matter how quickly you answer. The more quickly you answer, the quicker you answer, the more points you get. Thumbs up, and what was the answer? It's in apart. And actually, we also have a social break in apart from 9 onwards to whatever time you like. So feel free to join this part. Right.
Volgende keer de helft letterlijk. Volgende keer letterlijk.
Yeah, you know your faces? Good. Let's start with the first real question. What kind of investment analysis does not exist?
Fundamental.
Is that fundamental analysis, comparable analysis, relational analysis, or technical analysis?
Denk technical. Technical. Technical is daar. Boedieboel. Ja, boedieboel. Ja, dat moet zo. Nou kun je het echt doen. Dat kan ik echt doen. Nu kan ik het uitschijnen. Deze Bastiaan, hoe laat is het? Geen idee. and down there.
Let's continue to the next question. You are a long-term investor. Would you buy or sell a share at this point in time? This graph. Would you buy the share because buying the stock is oversold? Buy the only way is up. Sell the price will drop tomorrow, or sell the stock is overbought. As a long-term investor.
Was die only way to have gedaan? Stomste wat je ooit hebt. Hier.
The price will be lower than the value.
Dat is ook wel.
Yep.
Dat zijn leuke.
Right, let's continue. You see that's clear, that everything can still happen. Let's continue to the next question. Which of these is a strength in our SWOT analysis of Samsung? Is this the high-end product? Is this high labor costs? Is this the world's largest market share, or is this new innovative technology? So this is the strength.
Innovative technologies. Innovative technologies? Of die twee?
Ja, dat is maar ook de high-end. Ja, wordt
Ja, sowieso.
goed bezig, man. Ze maakt niet heel hard op.
Ja, klopt. Ze hebben ook met een budget steeds. Ja, ook dat, ja.
First hour I told you about SWOT analysis, and I told you you should only use relative strengths for strength in this case. High product is not a strength because also Apple has high product. High labor costs, I don't know how people work. And new innovative technologies, yeah, that's right. That is a thing that they have. However, also Apple maybe now with the new iPhone 7, so yes, they show that they're less innovative, but it is not the only one who is innovative. Instead, first target market share is a big strength because they have a market share of mobile phones of about 25, 24, 23%, something like this, while Apple has a market share of 13%. So it's almost half of it. So it is, this is considered one of the
Dat was een of andere heet je wel. En van die mensen heel veel post. En toen was ik het factrice gevoeld. Ik zie het zo.
Right, we have revenues of 200 billion, total cost of 100 billion, 10 billion shares outstanding, and a share price that's $50. What's the PE ratio? Look at calculate quickly. Some people were even able to admit that. That's good. The correct answer was fine. If you would like to know how to calculate that, you take the revenues, you do the minus the cost, because that's the money that comes out, and you have 100 billion. And then you divide it over the amount of shares. You have 10 euros principal value per share, and you go 10 euros with 10 euro per share, and then you divide it 50, the price of those earnings per share, then you give the funds.
Kop is een mees.
Right.
Ik heb nog eens kop.
Alright, McDonald's PE is around 22. Apple's PE is around 12.5. Which company should you buy? Should you buy McDonald's because it has more earnings, Apple because it's cheaper, undecided, never compare companies from different industries, or undecided, I need more fundamentals.
Oh, inderdaad, ja. Het is 5. Dat kan ook, hè? Wat is dat?
Gewoon even.
Yes. The correct answer is undecided. You can never compare the PE ratio of companies from different industries. And those people can correct also.
boy.
Alright, let's continue. You invest €10 today with 7% interest a year. How much is your investment worth after 15 years? Let's check how good you are at math. Or whether you know some of it. Is it €20.79, €27.59, €43, or €61.83? All about compounding. And yes, we like to annoy you.
Correct. Correct.
If you actually would like to know a trick, trick to calculate this quickly, or not really calculate it, have an indication. If you want to know how much time it takes to double your money, you just divide 70 over 71, 70, you should remember, over the interest rate. So in this case, you divide 70 over 7, which is 10. After 10 years, your money doubles. And the 5 you can do something different. So you have an indication that it should be at least 20. This is after 20. So at least 20, well, after 5 years, it's going to be more than 20.73. Probably it's going to be this one for that one. That's just what you guess or what you think that. But it should be, of course, a bit less than twice doubling, but a bit more than once doubling. So that's the indication. 70 over the interest rate gives you an indication how many years it takes to double. Column is on top, and then you look. Academic committee members are not allowed to win that, though. It's, anyway, what kind of pattern is this? Is this a reversal pattern? Is this a sideways pattern, a continuation pattern, or a random pattern? What signals is this pattern use? Usually happen after a
Dat het net zonnig was.
What does this mean in normal terms? This means that usually a double dark pattern or no pattern. Yeah, this pattern is a reversal pattern. Usually this is a different pattern than our added source pattern. We're going to switch that instead. If you have two tops quickly after each other, that means that the stock price is going down afterwards. And that is a reverse pattern. If you have it on the opposite side, if you have two bottoms, anyway, if you have two lows, then usually the stock price is going up afterwards.
Fout.
Good. Let's continue. Should we make engagement? Okay. Column is on top. And then we have my. Who's calling, by the way?
Oh.
Cool. We're doing well. Let's continue. We have still 2 questions to go. Consider the following head and shoulders pattern. Where will the share price go? Will the share price go up? Will the share price go down? Will the share price go sideways? Or will it go random around?
Okay.
Price will go up. This actually was a great question. Yeah, I see the people staring very angrily in the back. Yeah, usually if you have a regular head and shoulders pattern, shoulder, a head, shoulder, then the stock price will go down. But this one was actually a reversed head and shoulders pattern. It was on his head. So this person is actually hanging upside down. So then the stock price goes up afterwards. How many people have that right? Oh wow, pretty decent. Yeah. Alright, let's go. So before we start with the last question, Isaac still on top, followed by calling, then Job down, then running hard, and then Louise. So everything still can happen. The last question. Last question. The relative strength index of 60 indicates. What does that indicate? It indicates that the shares are overbought. It indicates that the shares are oversold. It indicates nothing, or it indicates uncertainty.
I love it. It's pas 70. Please, Domein. Please. Hey. Moment, de grens.
to sort of predict signals, maybe having to do something, blah, blah, blah. No, only when you hit one of the berries, then you have a signal. Otherwise, you don't. Good. Let's see who won this fabulous competition. It is Isaac. Who's Isaac? Congratulations. Come over here.
Nummer 5 is er ook nog een van. Lord Sexy Pants. Ja. Ja.
Well done. So you win fabulous 4 free things at a drink, and if you approach me, you get a free drink as well. Or evening. Anyway, congratulations. Well done.
Dat is wat mij, hè?
If you have like 1 minute or something, we would like to have a bit of a review. So how did you like it? Did you
Top
learn
2.
anything? This quiz
2.
or this academy or whatever? Us first.
Ik zou echt snel verkopen, hoor. Hoe check die prijzen?
Ja, precies. Dat is ook die shit.
Pump en dump. Ik wil bij de helft.
Alright. I'd remind you to, if you like, enter our house competition. You can win up to €250. Just training a bit, trying to forecast the markets and trying to make a lot of money. And we have this evening a social training in apart. As you answered, most of you answered correctly on quiz. It starts at 9 and you're all invited.